This is your home now, in the trash.
My wife came home from fat camp looking like a completely different woman, and that should have been my first warning sign. I'm Nick Lawson, 44 years old, senior director at a mid-tier tech company, and I thought I knew my wife. 20 years of marriage teaches you things, like how Emily hums when she's happy, snorts when she laughs too hard, and always burns the bacon on Sunday mornings. But the woman who walked through our front door that Tuesday evening in September was a stranger wearing my wife's face. "Jesus, Em," I said, setting down my beer. "You look incredible." And she did. The Emily who'd left for Transformation Wellness Retreat 6 weeks earlier had been soft around the edges, comfortable in her own skin, content with yoga pants and oversized sweaters. This Emily had abs you could see through her tight athletic wear, arms that belonged in a fitness magazine, and a confidence that radiated like heat from a bonfire. "Thanks," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. It was quite the experience. Our kids, Josh and Molly, 17 and 16 respectively, bounded down the stairs to greet their transformed mother. Josh, who inherited my lanky frame and sardonic wit, whistled low. "Mom, you look like one of those Instagram fitness models." Molly, sharp as a tack and twice as cutting when she wanted to be, studied her mother with narrowed eyes. "Different haircut, too, and are those breast implants?" "Molly!" Emily snapped, color rising in her cheeks. "They're just enhanced by the new sports bras. Everything's lifted now that I've lost the weight." But I caught the way she touched her chest self-consciously, and I filed that detail away for later consideration. Over dinner, grilled chicken and quinoa that Emily had insisted on preparing, she regaled us with stories from the retreat. The other women, all incredible and inspiring. The daily workouts that pushed boundaries. The nutrition seminars that opened her eyes to what her body could become. "And the trainers?" I asked, twirling quinoa around my fork like it was spaghetti. "Were they as life-changing as the quinoa?" Emily's fork paused halfway to her mouth. "They were very professional, especially Trent. He was my primary trainer, really knew how to motivate people." "Trent," I repeated. "Sounds like a real motivator." "He was," she said, and there was something in her voice, a warmth, a fondness that made my chest tighten. That night, as we lay in bed, Emily turned away from me when I reached for her. "I'm still adjusting," she murmured. The retreat taught us about respecting our body's boundaries. I stared at the ceiling, listening to her breathe, and wondered when my wife had started speaking in wellness retreat fortune cookies. The next morning, Emily was up at 5:30, heading to the gym. She'd joined some high-end fitness center across town, not the perfectly adequate gym 5 minutes from our house where we'd had a family membership for years. "Why the new place?" I asked over coffee. "Better equipment," she said, not looking up from her phone. "And some of the women from the retreat work out there. We're supporting each other through our transformations." "Transformation," I mused. "That's a big word for losing weight." Her head snapped up, eyes flashing. "This isn't just about losing weight, Nick. This is about becoming who I'm meant to be." "And who's that exactly?" She studied me for a long moment, and I saw something I'd never seen in her eyes before. Disappointment. Not in a situation or a meal or a movie. In me. "Someone who doesn't settle," she said quietly. The weeks that followed established a new routine. Emily left early for the gym, came home to shower and change, then spent her days running errands, meeting with her transformation sisters, or attending workshops on holistic wellness and authentic living. She documented everything on Instagram, posting photos of green smoothies, workout selfies, and inspirational quotes about becoming your best self. Her follower count exploded. Comments poured in from strangers praising her journey and asking for advice. Emily ate it up like the carbs she'd sworn off. "Look at this," she said one evening, shoving her phone in my face. 5,000 followers. Trent says I could become a real influencer if I keep this up." "Trent again," I noted. "He seems to have a lot of opinions about your social media presence. He's helping all of us build our platforms. It's part of the ongoing support system. How modern of him." She pulled the phone back, scrolling through comments. "You don't understand, Nick. This is bigger than just getting in shape. This is about inspiring other women to transform their lives." "And what about transforming your life with your family?" "That's different." "How?" She looked at me like I was asking why water was wet. "Because you're not growing, Nick. You're the same person you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, You're comfortable being this. She gestured vaguely at me, sitting in my favorite chair, wearing a company polo and khakis. This, I said, pays for the mortgage on the house where you're becoming your authentic self. See? That's exactly what I mean. Everything's about money and security and staying safe. When's the last time you took a risk? When's the last time you pushed yourself to grow? I got a promotion last year. That's not growth, Nick. That's just more of the same. I wanted to argue, but something in her tone stopped me. She wasn't angry. Anger I could work with. She was speaking to me like I was a child who didn't understand adult concepts. So, what are you saying, Em? She sighed, the sound heavy with patience I apparently didn't deserve. I'm saying that maybe we need to think about what we both want from this marriage going forward. I want what we've always had. Maybe that's the problem. That night, she slept on her side of the bed like there was an invisible wall down the middle. I lay awake wondering when "Till Death Do Us Part" had been amended to include, unless one of us discovers quinoa and ab workouts. The breaking point came 3 weeks later. I was working late in my home office when I heard Emily on the phone in the kitchen, her voice low and intimate. The tone was familiar. It was how she used to talk to me during our dating days, soft and flirtatious and full of promise. I know, she was saying. It's complicated, but you're right. I can't keep living this way forever. I crept to the doorway, staying in the shadows. He just doesn't understand what I need now, she continued. You get it, though. You see who I really am. My heart hammered against my ribs. Thursday night? I can probably make that work. I'll tell him it's a workshop or something. She laughed, actually giggled, at something the person on the other end said. You're terrible, she whispered. But you're right. I deserve to be happy. I retreated to my office, closing the door as quietly as I could. I sat at my desk, staring at my computer screen without seeing it, while my 20-year marriage crumbled around me like a house of cards in a hurricane. The next morning, Emily announced she'd be attending a women's empowerment workshop Thursday evening. What kind of workshop? I asked, keeping my voice casual while spreading peanut butter on toast. Emily no longer ate bread or peanut butter or anything that might interfere with her transformation. Communication and boundary setting, she said, scrolling through her phone. Really important stuff for personal growth. Sounds riveting. Where is it? Downtown, the Marriott Conference Center. I nodded, filing away the lie. The Marriott had been under renovation for 6 months. I knew because my company had been forced to move our quarterly meeting to a different venue. That afternoon, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called my neighbor, Pete Morrison, a retired police detective who'd become a good friend over the years of borrowing tools and complaining about property taxes. Pete, I need a favor, I said when he answered, and it's going to sound pathetic. Most favors do. What's up? I think Emily's having an affair. Silence on the other end. Then, crap, Nick. You sure? Sure enough to ask you to help me confirm it. We met at Pete's house that evening. His wife, Denise, made coffee and tactfully disappeared upstairs, but not before squeezing my shoulder and saying, Whatever you find out, you've got friends here. Okay, Pete said, settling into his recliner. Tell me what you know. I laid out everything. The mysterious phone calls, the lies about her whereabouts, the dramatic personality shift, the constant mentions of Trent, the trainer. Pete listened without interruption, occasionally jotting notes on a legal pad. When I finished, he leaned back and studied me. You want my professional opinion? That's why I'm here. She's cheating. Question is, what do you want to do about it? I want proof. Then we get proof. Pete walked me through the basics of surveillance, how to track her movements without being obvious, what kind of evidence would hold up in divorce court, how to document everything without breaking any laws. The key, he said, is patience. Cheaters get comfortable, sloppy. They start taking risks because they think they're smarter than everyone else. Thursday night, I told Emily I had to work late. She bought it without question, probably relieved she wouldn't have to elaborate on her fictional workshop. At 7:30, I parked across the street from our house and waited. At 8:15, Emily emerged wearing a dress I'd never seen before. Black, fitted, the kind of thing she would have called too young for me 6 months ago. She drove across town to Russo's, an upscale Italian place with dim lighting and intimate booths. I parked where I could see the entrance and waited. At 8:45, a man approached the hostess stand. Tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of artificially perfect physique that screamed personal trainer. He wore jeans and a fitted t-shirt that showed off his arms, and he moved with the casual confidence of someone who'd never doubted his own appeal. This had to be Trent. Emily appeared from the bar area, and I watched my wife of 20 years light up like a Christmas tree. She practically bounced as she approached him, and when he leaned down to kiss her cheek, she turned her head so their lips met instead. I sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, watching my marriage officially end. They were seated at a corner booth, heads bent together in intimate conversation. Emily touched his arm constantly, his hand, his shoulder, his chest. She laughed at everything he said. She played with her hair and leaned forward to give him a better view down her dress. I'd seen Emily flirt before, with me, back when we were young and everything was new. But this was different. This was desperate, hungry, like she was trying to devour him with her eyes. I took photos with my phone, though they probably wouldn't be clear enough for court. That wasn't the point. I needed evidence for myself, proof that I wasn't imagining things or overreacting. They stayed for 2 hours. When they left, Trent's hand was on the small of Emily's back, possessive and familiar. They walked to his car, a red Mustang convertible that screamed midlife crisis, and I watched him press her against the passenger door before kissing her properly. I followed them to an apartment complex on the other side of town. Emily's car stayed in the parking lot until nearly midnight. When she came home, I was waiting in the living room, pretending to watch television. "How was the workshop?" I asked. "Enlightening," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Really opened my mind to new possibilities. Learn anything interesting about boundaries?" "Actually, yes." She sat on the edge of the couch, as far from me as possible. "I learned that it's okay to want more from life. It's okay to admit when you're not happy." "Are you not happy, Em?" She looked at me then, and I saw something that might have been pity. "Nick, I think we need to talk about our marriage." "Okay, let's talk." I think," she took a deep breath, "I think we should consider opening things up." The words hit me like a physical blow. Opening things up? I've been doing a lot of reading about alternative relationship structures. Monogamy isn't natural, Nick. It's a social construct that keeps people trapped in situations that no longer serve them. Jesus Christ, Emily. Are you listening to yourself? Don't take that tone with me. I'm trying to have an adult conversation about our future. Our future? Or your future with the personal trainer you've been sleeping with behind my back? Her face went white, then red. I don't know what you're talking about. Russo's, tonight, 8:45. Black dress, red Mustang, apartment complex on Elm Street. Should I go on? For a moment, she looked like the old Emily, caught, ashamed, maybe even sorry. Then her expression hardened. You followed me? You lied to me. The Marriott's been closed for renovations for 6 months. So you've been spying on me. I've been trying to figure out why my wife turned into someone I don't recognize. She stood up, smoothing down her dress. This is exactly what I mean, Nick. You're controlling, possessive. You can't stand the idea that I might want something you can't give me. What I can't stand is being lied to. I wouldn't have to lie if you were open to growth and change. The circular logic made my head spin. So this is my fault? It's nobody's fault. It's just evolution. I've evolved, Nick. The question is whether you can evolve with me. And if I can't? She shrugged, a gesture that somehow managed to be both casual and devastating. Then we'll have to make some difficult decisions. She walked toward the stairs, then paused. His name is Trent, by the way. And he's not just a trainer, he's a life coach. He's helping me become the person I was always meant to be. The person you were always meant to be, I repeated. You mean someone who cheats on her husband? I mean someone who doesn't settle for less than she deserves. She went upstairs, leaving me alone with the wreckage of everything I'd thought I knew about my life. The next morning, Emily was gone before I woke up. She'd left a note on the kitchen counter. Gone to the gym. We'll talk more tonight. Try to keep an open mind. E. I stared at the note, wondering when my wife had started signing communications to me like I was a business associate. Josh wandered into the kitchen, hair sticking up at odd angles, wearing boxers and a t-shirt that had seen better days. Where's Mom? He asked, opening the refrigerator and staring into it like it might reveal the secrets of the universe. Gym, I said. Again? She's there more than she's here lately. I looked at my son, really looked at him, He was taller than me now, with Emily's eyes and my stubborn chin. In 2 years, he'd be off to college, starting his own life. Did he deserve to watch his parents' marriage implode during his senior year? Dad? Josh was studying me with concern. You okay? You look like you're about to throw up. I'm fine, I lied, just thinking about work stuff. Molly appeared in the doorway, already dressed and ready for school despite the early hour. She'd inherited my tendency towards sarcasm and Emily's organizational skills, a combination that made her formidable. Is Mom having a midlife crisis? She asked without preamble. What makes you ask that? Instagram, Molly said, holding up her phone. She posted a selfie at 5:30 this morning with the caption, "Grinding toward greatness." Who talks like that? I looked at the photo she showed me. Emily in workout gear, muscles defined by gym lighting, face flushed with exertion and what looked like genuine happiness. The comments were full of fire emojis and praise from strangers. Maybe she's just excited about being healthy, I said weakly. Dad, Molly's voice was patient but firm. I'm 16, not 6. Something's going on. Josh closed the refrigerator and turned to face us. Are you guys getting divorced? The question hung in the air like smoke. Both kids were watching me, waiting for an answer I didn't have. Your mother and I are working through some things, I said finally. That's not an answer, Molly pointed out. It's the only answer I have right now. That evening, Emily came home with Tasha Bennett, her best friend since college. Tasha had always been the kind of person who treated other people's drama like personal entertainment, and I could tell from the way she looked at me that Emily had been sharing details about our marriage troubles. Nick, Tasha said with exaggerated enthusiasm, you look exactly the same. Thanks, Tasha. You look exactly the same too. She laughed like I'd said something hilarious. Oh, Nick, still the same old sense of humor. Emily shot me a warning look. Tasha's going to help me with some social media strategy, building my platform. Your platform, I repeated. For my fitness journey. Trent thinks I have real potential as an influencer. Trent thinks a lot of things, apparently. The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. Tasha's eyes lit up. She could sense conflict like a shark smells blood. Trent's amazing, Tasha said. Emily's shown me his Instagram. He's so motivational. I bet he is. Emily grabbed Tasha's arm. Let's go upstairs. We can work better without distractions. They disappeared, leaving me alone with my thoughts and a growing certainty that this situation was about to get much worse before it got better. Around 9 o'clock, I heard them coming back downstairs, their voices carrying from the foyer. You just have to be strong, Tasha was saying. Some people can't handle it when their partners grow and change. I know, Emily replied. It's just hard. 20 years is a long time. Sunk cost fallacy, Tasha said confidently. Just because you've invested time in something doesn't mean you should keep investing if it's not working anymore. You're right. Trent says the same thing. Trent sounds like a very wise man. He is. He sees me for who I really am. I appeared in the doorway. And who's that exactly? Both women startled. Emily recovered first, lifting her chin defiantly. Someone who deserves to be happy. Were you unhappy before? I was comfortable. There's a difference. Comfortable is bad now? Tasha stepped forward, inserting herself into the conversation like a referee. Nick, I think what Emily's trying to say is that people grow and change. Sometimes they grow apart. Thanks, Tasha, but I think Emily can speak for herself. Actually, Emily said, Tasha's right. We have grown apart, Nick. We want different things now. What do you want? I want to feel alive. I want passion and excitement and growth. And I don't give you that? When's the last time you surprised me? When's the last time you did something spontaneous or romantic or, I don't know, interesting? The question caught me off guard. When was the last time? I thought about our routine. Work, dinner, television, bed, rinse and repeat. I took you to dinner for your birthday, I said weakly. The same restaurant we go to every year. You said you liked it there. I said it was fine. There's a difference. Tasha nodded sagely. Communication is so important in relationships. I wanted to tell Tasha to mind her own business, but Emily was looking at me with that patient disappointment again, like I was failing a test I didn't know I was taking. So, what do you want me to do? I asked. I want you to understand that this isn't about you, Emily said. It's about me figuring out who I am and what I need. Well, you're married to me. Marriage doesn't have to be a prison, Nick. What does that mean? She exchanged a look with Tasha, some kind of silent communication that excluded me completely. It means maybe we need to redefine what our marriage looks like, Emily said carefully. Redefine how? Maybe we don't have to be everything to each other. Maybe we can expand our horizons. The euphemisms were making my head hurt. Are you asking for permission to sleep with other people? I'm asking you to consider the possibility that love doesn't have to be possessive. Jesus Christ, Emily, listen to yourself. Don't take that tone with me. What tone should I take? My wife just asked for permission to cheat on me. It's not cheating if we both agree to it, but we don't both agree to it. Because you won't even consider it. The circular logic was making me dizzy. You're right. I won't consider it. Call me old-fashioned, but I thought marriage meant something. It does mean something, Emily said. It means we love each other enough to want each other to be happy. I am happy. Or I was. Well, I wasn't. The words hit like a slap. 20 years of marriage, 2 kids, a life we'd built together, and she wasn't happy. How long? I asked quietly. How long what? How long have you been unhappy? She was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. It wasn't sudden. It was gradual, like slowly suffocating. And you never thought to mention this before you started sleeping with your personal trainer? Nick! Tasha gasped, like I'd said something shocking instead of stating the obvious. It's not like that, Emily said. What's it like then? It's complicated. It seems pretty simple from where I'm sitting. Emily looked at Tasha again, then back at me. I think we should take some time apart. Figure out what we both want. I know what I want. I want my wife back. I'm not going anywhere, Nick. I'm just evolving into someone who sleeps with other men, into someone who's honest about her needs. I stared at her, this stranger wearing my wife's face, and realized I didn't recognize her at all. The Emily I'd married would never have had this conversation. She would never have justified betrayal with self-help buzzwords and pseudo-psychological nonsense. Fine, I said finally. Take your time. Figure yourself out, but don't expect me to stick around while you do it. I walked toward the stairs, then turned back. And Emily, when you're done evolving, don't expect to come home to the same life you left behind. I called in sick the next day, something I'd done maybe 5 times in my entire career, and drove to the office of Patricia Harlow, the divorce attorney Pete had recommended. She's a shark, he'd said. But she's our shark. Patricia Harlow was indeed shark-like, sleek, predatory, and completely focused on the task at hand. Her office was all glass and chrome, designed to intimidate, and it worked. Mr. Lawson, she said after I'd explained the situation, let me be clear about something. Divorce is war. The question is whether you want to win or whether you want to be nice. I want to win. Good, because your wife has already fired the first blow by introducing another man into your marriage. Now we fire back. She walked me through the process, documentation, asset protection, custody considerations. Emily's affair would work in my favor, especially since she was the one pushing for an open marriage. The judge won't like that, Patricia said with satisfaction. Sounds like abandonment of family responsibilities to pursue selfish interests. We can work with that. Over the next week, I became a man I didn't recognize. Calculating, methodical, ruthless. I documented everything. Emily's late nights, her lies about where she'd been, her social media posts that showed her prioritizing her transformation over her family responsibilities. I also started paying attention to what the kids were saying. Mom missed my game again, Josh mentioned casually over dinner. She said she had a wellness seminar, but I saw her Instagram story. She was at some wine bar downtown. She forgot to pick me up from school yesterday, Molly added. I had to call Dad. Your mother's been busy, I said carefully. With what? Molly asked. Working out? How much time does working out take? More than they knew, apparently. Emily's gym sessions were lasting 4 and 5 hours. Her wellness seminars happened 3 nights a week. Her transformation support group met every weekend. Meanwhile, I was handling school pickups, grocery shopping, helping with homework, and managing the household finances. All the things Emily had gradually stopped doing as she became more authentic. The breaking point came on a Saturday morning. Emily announced she'd be spending the day at a fitness expo with her trainer and support group. What about Molly's soccer game? I asked. Emily looked genuinely confused. What about it? You said you'd be there. She's starting midfielder for the first time. Oh. Emily checked her phone, like her calendar might have changed in the last 30 seconds. I can't miss this expo, Nick. It's important for my platform development. More important than your daughter? Don't be dramatic. It's one game. It's not one game, Emily. It's been 3 games, 2 school events, and Josh's birthday dinner. His birthday dinner was last week. You left halfway through to take a call from Trent. Emily's jaw tightened. That was business. What business? You don't have a business. I'm building something, Nick. I'm creating a brand, developing revenue streams. Just because you can't see the vision doesn't mean it's not real. I stared at her, wondering when my wife had started talking like a LinkedIn influencer. The kids see it, I said quietly. They know you're choosing other things over them? That's not fair, isn't it? She grabbed her gym bag and headed for the door. I'll make it up to them. When? Soon. She left, and I spent the day at Molly's soccer game, cheering louder than necessary to make up for the empty seat beside me. Molly scored 2 goals and looked for her mother in the stands after each one. When she realized that Emily wasn't there, her shoulders sagged just slightly, enough that I noticed, which meant she was devastated. That night, I made a decision. I created a fake profile on the dating app where I'd seen Emily active. It took some work. Fake photos, a believable backstory, the right combination of fitness enthusiasm and personal growth buzzwords to catch her attention. Within 2 days, Jake had matched with my wife. The conversations were enlightening. Emily, it turned out, was looking for someone who understood the importance of personal evolution and wasn't threatened by a strong, independent woman. She was in a complicated situation, but working toward freedom. Jake was very understanding. Jake thought Emily sounded incredible and inspiring. Jake suggested they meet for coffee to discuss their shared journey toward authentic living. Emily agreed immediately. We arranged to meet at a trendy cafe downtown, the kind of place that served $15 smoothies and played indie music at a volume that suggested the customers were more sophisticated than people who needed to hear their conversations clearly. I arrived early and positioned myself at a corner table with a clear view of the entrance. At exactly 2 o'clock, Emily walked in, and I barely recognized her. She'd had work done, not just the breast enhancement I'd suspected, but something to her face as well. Her lips were fuller, her cheekbones more pronounced. Her hair was a different color, styled in a way that knocked 5 years off her age. She wore designer workout clothes that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. She looked around the cafe, obviously searching for Jake, and I stood up. Emily. She turned, and the confusion on her face shifted through several emotions: surprise, embarrassment, anger, and finally, defiance. What are you doing here? Waiting for my wife to show up for her date with another man. The cafe wasn't large, and my voice carried. Several people turned to look at us. Emily's face flushed red. You're Jake? Surprise. You catfished me. I wanted to see how far you'd go. She looked around the cafe, aware that we were attracting attention, then back at me. This is insane, Nick. You're acting crazy. I'm acting crazy. You're the one trolling dating apps while married. We talked about this. We talked about opening up our relationship. No, you talked about it. I said no. So you decided to, what, trap me? I decided to see what my wife was really up to. A barista approached our table tentatively. Is everything okay here? Fine, Emily said quickly. We're fine. The barista retreated, but the damage was done. Everyone in the cafe was watching us now, our marriage drama playing out like a reality show. Sit down, I said quietly. I'm leaving. Sit down, Emily, unless you want to have this conversation in the parking lot where everyone can hear. She sat, perching on the edge of the chair like she might bolt at any moment. How many others? I asked. What? How many other men are you talking to online? It's not what you think. What is it then? It's exploration. I'm exploring what else might be out there. While married to me. While trying to figure out what I want from life. And you can't figure that out without dating other men? I'm not dating anyone. What do you call this? This is you being manipulative and controlling. The accusation hit like a physical blow. I'm controlling? Yes. You can't stand the idea that I might have a life outside of our marriage. I can't stand the idea that you're cheating on me. It's not cheating if I'm being honest about it. You're not being honest about it. You're lying constantly. Because you won't listen when I try to tell you the truth. We were going in circles again. The same circular logic that made my head spin and my chest tight. The truth, I said slowly, is that you're having an affair with your personal trainer and shopping for additional men online while lying to our children about where you are and what you're doing. The truth, Emily countered, is that I'm trying to save our marriage by being honest about what I need, by cheating on me, by growing as a person. I stared at her across the small table. This woman I'd loved for more than half my adult life and realized we were speaking different languages. In her mind, betrayal was growth, lies were authenticity, abandoning her family was self-care. I want a divorce, I said. The word surprised us both. Emily's eyes widened, and for a moment she looked like the old Emily, vulnerable, uncertain, maybe even sorry. Nick, I want a divorce and I want full custody of the kids. You can't be serious. Dead serious. You can't take my children away from me. I'm not taking them anywhere. You're the one who left. I didn't leave. I'm still living in the same house. Are you? Because it seems like you're living in some fantasy world where actions don't have consequences and marriage vows are just suggestions. She was quiet for a long moment, staring at her hands. When she looked up, her eyes were hard. If you try to take my kids, I'll fight you. Good, I said, standing up. See you in court. The next few weeks were a blur of legal meetings, document gathering, and careful documentation of Emily's increasingly erratic behavior. She'd moved out of our bedroom and into the guest room, claiming she needed space to process. What she actually needed, apparently, was privacy for her late-night phone calls with Trent and her growing roster of online admirers. Patricia Harlow was in her element. She's making this easy for us, she said during one of our meetings, spreading photos across her desk like a poker player revealing a winning hand. Look at this! Instagram post from Tuesday night, tagged at a nightclub downtown. Caption says, "Living my best life." Meanwhile, you were home helping Josh with his college applications. The photos were damning. Emily dancing with men I didn't recognize, drinking cocktails that cost more than a family dinner, posing for selfies with her enhanced cleavage prominently displayed. The comments from her followers were a mix of encouragement, "You go, girl," and barely concealed criticism. What about your family? She's documenting her own abandonment of family responsibilities, Patricia continued. Any judge will see this for what it is, a midlife crisis at the expense of her children's stability. But Emily had lawyered up too. Her attorney, Marcus Gilroy, was everything Patricia wasn't, slick, expensive, and willing to paint Emily as the victim of a controlling husband who couldn't handle his wife's personal growth. The first salvo came in the form of a temporary custody arrangement that split the kids' time 50-50 between us. Emily would get them Wednesday through Saturday. I'd have them Sunday through Tuesday. It's temporary, Patricia assured me. Once we present our evidence, the judge will see what's really happening here. The custody split was a disaster from day one. Emily's idea of parenting during her time with the kids involved dragging them to fitness events, wellness seminars, and social media photo opportunities. Josh and Molly came back to my house exhausted and frustrated. She made me pose for like 50 pictures at the gym, Molly complained after her first week at Emily's. For her Instagram story about raising strong daughters, it was embarrassing. She forgot to buy groceries, Josh added. We ate protein bars and smoothies for 3 days. And she's never there, Molly continued. She drops us off at home and goes out with her trainer friends. Last night she didn't come home until 2 a.m. I documented everything, but it felt like trying to hold water in my hands. Emily was spiraling, but she was doing it with such confidence, such certainty that she was living her best life, that it was hard to argue with her logic, even when that logic made no sense. The breaking point came during Josh's senior night for football. As a starter on the varsity team, Josh was supposed to be honored along with the other seniors, walking across the field with both parents before the game. Emily showed up 20 minutes late, wearing a dress that was more appropriate for a nightclub than a high school football game, accompanied by Trent. Sorry we're late, she said breathlessly. We got held up at a client consultation. Client consultation? I asked. Trent's helping me launch my coaching business, Emily explained. We're going to help other women through their transformation journeys. I looked at Trent, who was surveying the high school football stadium like he was slumming it. He was exactly what I'd expected. Artificially perfect, with the kind of smile that didn't reach his eyes and the handshake of someone who was always selling something. You must be Nick, he said. Emily's told me so much about you. I bet she has. It's great that you're being so supportive of her growth. Not every man can handle it when his partner evolves. The condescension was breathtaking. This man was sleeping with my wife and talking to me like I should be grateful for the opportunity to watch it happen. Josh is being honored tonight, I said, ignoring Trent entirely. We need to be on the field in 10 minutes. Of course, Emily said. That's why we're here. But as we walked across the field, Emily spent more time waving to the crowd and posing for photos than paying attention to Josh. When the announcer called his name and listed his achievements, honor roll, team captain, college scholarship recipient, Emily was checking her phone. After the ceremony, as we stood awkwardly on the sideline, Trent put his arm around Emily's waist. Beautiful family, he said to me. You should be proud. The casual possessiveness of the gesture, his arm around my wife, his presumption that he belonged in this moment, snapped something inside me. Take your hands off my wife, I said quietly. Nick, Emily warned, take your hands off her, or I'll remove them for you. Trent smiled, the kind of smile predators give their prey. Emily's a grown woman, Nick. She can decide who touches her. Not while she's still married to me. About that, Trent said, his smile widening. Emily and I have been talking about making some changes to that situation. I looked at Emily, who had the grace to look embarrassed. Changes? I've decided to file for divorce, she said. It's time to make this official. Here? Now? At our son's senior night? It seemed like an appropriate time to start fresh. I stared at her, wondering if she could hear herself. Our son's moment of recognition, surrounded by his teammates and classmates and teachers, and she'd chosen this moment to officially end our marriage. You're unbelievable, I said. I'm being honest about what I want. What you want is to humiliate me and the kids. I want to stop living a lie. Josh appeared beside us, still in his football uniform, his face flushed with excitement from the game. Mom, Dad, did you see that pass I caught in the second quarter? We saw it, buddy, I said, putting my arm around his shoulders. You were great. Emily smiled at Josh, but I could see her attention was already elsewhere. Trent was scrolling through his phone, bored with the family drama. We should get going, Emily said. We have dinner reservations. You're leaving? Josh asked. The game's not over. I know, sweetie, but we have plans. It's senior night, Mom. And you were wonderful. I'm so proud of you. She kissed his cheek, leaving a lipstick mark, then walked away with Trent, her heels clicking on the concrete. Josh watched her go, his excitement deflating like a punctured balloon. She's really different, he said quietly. Yeah, I agreed. She is. That night, after we got home from the game, I sat both kids down in the living room. I need to tell you something, I said. Your mother and I are getting divorced. Molly nodded like she'd been expecting it. Josh looked stunned. Because of the trainer guy? He asked. Because we want different things from life. That's BS, Molly said. She's having a midlife crisis and blowing up our family for some guy with fake teeth and a spray tan. Molly. It's true, Dad. Everyone at school is talking about it. Mom's Instagram is like a car wreck. You can't look away. I hadn't realized the kids' friends were following Emily's social media transformation. The thought of Josh and Molly being embarrassed at school because of their mother's online behavior made my chest tight with anger. What happens now? Josh asked. Now we figure out how to move forward. Do we have to live with her half the time? The question broke my heart. That's what the court decided for now. Can we choose? Molly asked. When we're older, can we choose where we want to live? Maybe. Good, she said firmly. Because I'm not spending my senior year being a prop for Mom's Instagram stories. 3 months into the divorce proceedings, Emily's behavior had gone from embarrassing to destructive. Her social media presence had exploded. She now had over 50,000 followers watching her authentic transformation journey. But her relationship with the kids had imploded. Josh had started staying at friends' houses during Emily's custody days, claiming he had group projects or team obligations. Molly was more direct. She simply refused to go. I'm not doing it anymore, she announced after a particularly bad weekend where Emily had dragged her to a wellness retreat that turned out to be a thinly veiled marketing event for Trent's supplement line. The court order says, I began. The court order doesn't say I have to smile while Mom uses me as a prop for her fake life. Patricia Harlow was thrilled with these developments. The kids are old enough that their preferences matter, she explained. And their preference is clear. They want stability, not whatever chaos their mother is offering. But Emily wasn't going down without a fight. Her lawyer had painted a picture of a woman finally finding herself after years of suppression by a controlling husband. They'd found witnesses, other women from her transformation group, who testified about Emily's previous unhappiness and her current joy. "She's glowing," one woman had said during her deposition. "She's finally living her truth." The problem with living your truth, I discovered, was that sometimes your truth was selfish, destructive, and harmful to everyone around you. The final hearing was scheduled for a Friday in March. Patricia was confident we'd win full custody, but Emily's lawyer had hinted at some kind of surprise evidence that would change everything. "Don't worry," Patricia said. "Whatever they have, we'll handle it." The surprise turned out to be a recording Emily had made of one of our arguments. Specifically, the one where I'd called her behavior completely insane and told her she was destroying our family for some gym rat with the IQ of a protein shake. "This is the real Nick Lawson," Emily's lawyer told the judge. "Angry, controlling, verbally cruel. My client was trapped in this relationship for 20 years, afraid to be herself because of his intimidation and emotional manipulation. The recording was damaging. I could see it in the judge's expression. Out of context, I sounded like exactly the kind of controlling husband Emily claimed I was. But Patricia had prepared for this. "Your Honor," she said, standing smoothly, "I'd like to present some context for that recording." She played a series of audio clips I'd recorded on my phone during Emily's more spectacular meltdowns. Emily screaming at Josh for not wanting to be in her workout videos. Emily calling Molly unsupportive for refusing to attend one of her wellness events. Emily telling me I was pathetic and holding her back from her destiny. "This is the real Emily Lawson," Patricia said. "A woman so consumed with her own desires that she's abandoned every responsibility to her family." Then came the Instagram evidence, months of posts showing Emily prioritizing her social media presence over her children's needs, partying while the kids were at home alone, promoting products and events instead of attending school functions. The final piece of evidence was a video Molly had taken on her phone during one of Emily's custody weekends. Emily was on the phone with Trent discussing their plans to move in together, while Josh sat at the kitchen table trying to do homework without any help because Emily had forgotten to buy groceries again. "I can't wait to start our real life together," Emily said on the video. "These custody weekends are such a drag, but once the divorce is final, we can minimize that." The judge's expression hardened as she watched Emily dismiss her own children as an inconvenience to her new life. When all the evidence had been presented, the judge retired to her chambers to make a decision. We waited in the hallway, Emily with her team on one side, me with mine on the other. Emily looked different than she had at the beginning of the proceedings. The constant stress of maintaining her social media image while fighting a custody battle had taken its toll. Her enhanced features looked harsh under the courthouse's fluorescent lights, and her designer clothes couldn't hide the fact that she looked exhausted. Trent wasn't with her. He'd stopped attending the hearings after Patricia had subpoenaed his financial records and discovered he was facing bankruptcy, despite his successful trainer image. Apparently, Emily wasn't the only married woman he'd been coaching through her transformation. All rise. The judge returned, her expression unreadable. "I've reviewed all the evidence presented in this case," she began, "and I've rarely seen such a clear example of a parent prioritizing their own desires over their children's well-being." Emily sat up straighter, assuming the judge was talking about me. "Mrs. Lawson, your social media presence alone demonstrates a level of narcissism and self-absorption that is incompatible with effective parenting. Your children have become props in your personal brand, and your custody time has been spent pursuing your own interests, rather than nurturing your relationship with them." Emily's face went white. "Furthermore, your recorded statement about custody weekends being a drag and your desire to minimize time with your children shows a fundamental lack of understanding of what parenthood means." The judge turned to me. "Mr. Lawson, while your language during marital arguments was inappropriate, the evidence shows that you have consistently prioritized your children's needs and stability throughout this difficult period." She looked back at Emily. "Therefore, I'm awarding full physical custody of both minor children to Mr. Lawson, with supervised visitation for Mrs. Lawson pending completion of a parental fitness evaluation." Emily gasped. Her lawyer put a hand on her arm, but she shook him off. "This isn't fair," she said, standing up. "I'm a good mother. I'm trying to show my children that it's okay to pursue your dreams." "Mrs. Lawson," the judge said sternly, Pursuing your dreams at the expense of your children's stability is not good parenting. It's selfish behavior that has caused significant emotional harm to two teenagers who needed their mother's support during a difficult transition. But I'm happy now, Emily said, her voice breaking. For the first time in 20 years, I'm happy. Your happiness, the judge replied, cannot come at the cost of your children's well-being. Emily sank back into her chair, the reality of the situation finally hitting her. She'd traded her family for a social media following and a relationship with a man who disappeared the moment things got complicated. As we left the courthouse, Emily tried to approach Josh and Molly, who'd been waiting in the lobby. Kids, don't, Molly said firmly. Just don't. Josh looked at his mother with something that might have been pity. Mom, you chose this. You chose him over us and Instagram over us and your authentic self over us. You don't get to be upset about the consequences. Emily's face crumpled, but she didn't argue. Maybe, finally, she was beginning to understand what she'd lost. That evening, as we sat around our dining room table, just the three of us, like we'd been for months, Josh looked at me across the Chinese takeout containers. Dad? Yeah. Are you happy? I thought about it. Was I happy? My marriage was over. My wife had become a stranger, and my kids had been hurt by someone who was supposed to protect them. But we were together, we were stable, and we were moving forward. I'm getting there, I said. Good, Molly said, opening her fortune cookie. Because we are too. 6 months later, Emily's social media empire collapsed when several of her followers discovered that her transformation journey had included abandoning her children. The backlash was swift and brutal. Sponsors dropped her follower count plummeted, and her relationship with Trent ended when he found a new client to coach. She moved back in with her parents and took a job at a local gym, teaching spin classes to middle-aged women who didn't know about her Instagram infamy. She sent birthday cards to the kids and occasionally showed up to their school events, sitting alone in the back row like a stranger. Josh graduated as valedictorian and got a full scholarship to college. Molly started her senior year as student council president. They both spoke to their mother when necessary, but the easy affection they'd once shared was gone, replaced by polite distance. As for me, I learned that sometimes the person you love most in the world can become someone you don't recognize at all. I learned that authentic living is often just an excuse for selfish behavior. And I learned that protecting your children sometimes means letting them see their other parents' true nature, even when it breaks their hearts. Emily got her transformation all right. She transformed from a wife and mother into a cautionary tale about what happens when you mistake selfishness for self-care and confuse destruction with growth. And in the end, that transformation cost her everything that actually mattered.